Over the years, I've talked a lot about how 343 has constantly screwed up things with the Halo franchise in terms of lore, gameplay, and post-launch support. But what I wanted to point out today is one of what I believe to be the biggest issues with this company, and that is the fact that 343 employees openly display an attitude of contempt towards not only the old games, but also the community itself. While I realize that these individuals don't necessarily speak for every person at 343, the fact of the matter is that when you have the community manager put out things like this in response to criticism about the drastic change in art style under 343's direction, it gives off a bad impression, and when your person in charge of public relations acts like that openly, it makes you think what kind of attitude the corporation making these games has towards its player base. Before I get into it, remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoy for the algorithm. I want to make sure the mistreatment of the Halo community by 343 isn't forgotten. Now on to our next example, one that has sort of been buried in time. This is a screenshot of an interaction between a fan and Grim Brother 1, otherwise known as Jeff Easterling, who was and still is the senior franchise narrative writer at 343. In it, Jeff tells the upset fan to breathe and says he's not sorry for calling fans entitled, saying, quote, "Modern consumers have reached a level of entitlement and expectation that often far surpasses rational standard." For context, this is in response to the criticism that MCC launched broken beyond belief. The game literally didn't work for many years after launch, yet a high-level employee at 343 holds the belief that expecting a $60 product to function is somehow surpassing rational standards and entitled. He then proceeds to tell the fan that his assertion that MCC is a, quote, second-rate game is subjective. Apparently a product that doesn't work properly is not second-rate. Overall, the whole response comes off as extremely condescending and passive-aggressive, which is something we'll see a lot from 343. Another thing we see a lot from 343 is a general sense of arrogance and bravado. It's as if 343 believes that they are the rational and reasonable adults in the room, dealing with a bunch of unruly, spoiled children. We can see this in the following clip here, where a 343 employee literally tells the fans they don't know what they want, that he knows better than them.
At some points we've got in our heads with this game that we're just going to make another Halo. I don't think that's what people want. They may think they want that, but what they really want is something that speaks to the things that they love, but then provides them with something new.
Then we have the infamous Halo 5 Rec Pack video where 343 literally tells critics of the system to shut up because the grown-ups are talking.
Lastly, but not leastly, you have single-use cards. These are for your vehicles and power weapons, like this magnificent, perfectly crafted death delivery device.
Wait, won't rec packs with special weapons break the exquisitely refined balance of arena multiplayer?
Secure your noise hole, soldier! Grown-ups are talking.
There are countless examples of a total lack of respect being displayed not only for the community, but the legacy of the previous games and the people who worked on them. Of course, we have the often cited "we hired people who hated Halo" line that was being touted around the time of Halo 4, but a lesser-known fact is that the writers of the original books aren't being paid their due royalties. And then there's the fact that Martin O'Donnell, for a while, wasn't being credited for his work on the soundtrack of the franchise. The list goes on. Then there is this idea that 343 has that Halo constantly needs to change what it is to appeal to broader audiences. This, combined with the clip where the guy says Halo fans don't know what they want, is insulting. If I go to an Italian restaurant and order pizza, but instead they give me sushi and then tell me I'd probably enjoy the sushi better to just shut my mouth and take what's given to me, I'm gonna be pretty upset, as that's not what I ordered, yet 343 constantly does exactly this, copying trends and elements from other franchises while simultaneously watering down their own. It would be one thing if they only tried it once as an experiment, but this is just something they keep doing year after year. You see it with the games and their merch. I even found an article earlier about how Bonnie Ross, one of the former heads of 343, thought making Halo-themed handbags was a good way to expand the franchise to women, which is ironic and also kind of insulting. What is 343 trying to say with that? That women can't enjoy the same types of games that men do without being pandered to and forced into stereotypical gender roles? I don't know. Kind of weird, though, considering 343 always seems to point out and remind everyone how woke they are, but moving on. But back to 343's hostility toward the community, we have this example, which is really buried, where we can see a 343 employee openly mocking a YouTuber called Bring Halo Back, when all he's trying to do is point out the fact that hit detection on MCC doesn't work properly. And the 343 employee admits to laughing at him and not taking the situation seriously at all.
19,000 views.
I know. I had people coming to me like, yeah, can you watch this video and this guy's shot registration shit? I was like, yeah, sure, let me see it. And I just started laughing literally, like, out loud.
Then you have the Halo TV show and all the drama around that. The biggest thing being the fact that the showrunners admitted to not even looking at the games when making the show. 343 has confirmed that they aren't even making Halo for the fans anymore with this. They have completely given up on respecting and following the legacy of what Halo was. As shown in the examples here, multiple employees at 343 openly disrespect the community, and with that, I really again have to pose the question, what kind of environment and attitude does 343 have towards its fans? I can say for certain it is not one of respect or good nature, and this is just the surface. There are more examples out there, but if I went on to talk about all the times 343 has outright lied to, misled, or been intentionally vague to make themselves look better, this video would be well over 2 hours long. The point is, at the end of the day, these individuals who have gone on to say these things in an open and public manner against the community are largely still working at 343. Unishek is still the community manager. Jeff Easterling is still the narrative writer. I'm well aware people like Bonnie Ross and the like have gotten the axe, but there are still many at 343 that hold these anti-consumer attitudes and values, and you have to wonder why. In any other industry, if you mouthed off or were rude to a customer in such brash and unprofessional ways, you would be fired on the spot, yet for some reason this hasn't happened to many at 343. The constant arrogance, passive aggressiveness, and lackluster quality of the franchise makes me think there is something far greater wrong at the studio than just a few bad apples. The problem seems to be cultural within the company itself, like there's an overarching attitude of disdain and loathing towards the community that 343 is supposed to be catering to. This is why I have no hope left for this franchise. It's like an abusive relationship at this point. You can't make somebody care for you who never cared in the first place. But I'll leave that right there. As always, I thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like on it. Subscribe if you're new around here. Have a great day, and stay safe. Goodbye.